This is J. Krishnamurti's fourth public discussion in Saanen, 1972.
We said this morning would be reserved for the young people. I wonder what we mean by young people. What do we mean by youth? Youth is supposed to be vigorous, enthusiastic, vital, with their weakness and unpredictability, with their curiosity and quick decision. That is more or less what is implied in youth. Youth is supposed to start a new kind of revolution outwardly, and they're attempting to do it right throughout the world. Youth has experimented with drugs, hard and soft drugs, and they're generally supposed to be anti-establishment. Am I correct? Am I giving the right description? And they have started student revolutions, demonstrations. They have formed communes, gone to India, Asia in search of reality, walked across the continent of Europe and Turkey, Afghanistan, and landed in India. I've met many of them there. And they're supposed to be seeking new truths, being fed up with the old. They are trying, again right throughout the world, to bring about a different kind of government, a more honesty in politics. And there are all those who are called Jesus freaks, the people who get terribly excited about Jesus, and so on. I think that covers the field, doesn't it? Right? No? You are uncertain? More or less. Basta. So, what would you like to discuss after laying down the ground rules? What do we do? May I unroll it a little bit? May I? How does the youth, the young people, respond to the modern challenge? The challenge being not merely social reform, not merely a political revolution with a different kind of politics honesty, more or less incorruptibility. There are all these vast changes technologically and physiologically taking place. There is the breaking up of religions. And it's a tremendous challenge. And how does youth respond to it? Is that right? Is that a fair question? You are supposed to be young. And how do you respond to it? Respond to the total challenge, not just form a little commune or take to drugs or say, oh, the old people don't understand the young people. There is the, what is the gap? Generation gap. But there is this enormous challenge. And how does you, young people, respond to it? Go on, sirs, discuss it. Do you form a commune? Withdraw from society, from the whole structure, and buy a piece of land, if you're lucky enough, and establish a commune there. A commune being a new kind of commune being, no authority there, all working together freely, right? But soon they find they can't work freely, that they may exchange their wives and children and all the rest of it, but they need some kind of order. And gradually, authority steps in and they break away, right? Haven't you noticed all this? Right? Good. And they vote for McGovern or new leader or whatever it is politically, because they're fed up with the other gang. Or they join a monastery, very few, go off to India, and I met, there are, I believe, 15 or 20,000 young people, foreigners in India. And I met several of them. They put on Indian clothes, grow long hair. You know, that's one of the things, Indians can beat you at that. Because they've got tremendous long hair and long beards. And there are some of them quite clean, some of them quite dirty, just like the rest of them. And you find them in various ashramas, retreats, practicing what the Guru teaches, you know, all the rest. And they're anti-war, and few of them are anti-all wars, or perhaps they're anti-war of this kind, but they may have their own favorite wars. So, there is this enormous challenge, you understand? World broken up, fragmented, injustice, political chicanery, economic division. You follow, there is this vast house afar And how does youth respond to it? By going little, acting fragmentarily? Joining the red revolutions, beating Mao, more Mao than Mao himself? So what is, when you face this enormous challenge, what's your response?
So maybe I think it's very important to find out how to be alone in society.
He says it's very important to find out how to be alone. We'll come to that, sir, if you don't mind. How do you respond to this? Actually, do you respond fragmentarily, or do you respond totally to the whole problem? You understand my question? What, sir? You don't understand my question. There is political action, there is business action, there is artistic, literary action, theatrical, you follow? All fragmented, not interrelated. And I, being a youth, what shall I do? Take part in politics and forget the rest? Or become anti-establishment and revolt against the whole thing? Or run off to some fanciful Jesus mythology? You follow? And apparently that's what we are doing. Not a total action. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. Now, how do you react to this? Is that a fair question?
Well, I say I'm going to become a school teacher. I'm working in schools so that to put a stop to the kind of fragmentary education that's going on.
So, gentlemen, the questioner says, I'm a school teacher. Education now is fragmentary. And I want to teach differently. I want to, in my teaching, I want to include the whole problem of existence, not just passing some stupid little examinations. Right? Please, you discuss. This is a dialogue, a conversation between you and me. We must both go together. What do you say?
Sir, you're asking us all a question that we've been asking ourselves.
Good.
We're trying to seek the answer ourselves, and that's one of the reasons why we're here.
Good. Now, that is, you are asking all these questions yourselves. Education, how to bring about a different kind of education so that there is a new generation, new kind of educated people, right, sir? Who are not merely caught up in technology, who are maybe interested in technology, but also interested in the whole problem of existence, right? Now, how do you, as a youth, respond to this? Take one fragment and devote your life to it? school, new kind of education, or just a political action, irrespective of all the other? Or do you take the whole thing and consider what is a total action in which all these are included? You follow what I mean? Right? How do you respond to that? Is it a fragmentary response or a total response? You know what I mean by total? Right. Yes, sir.
Sometimes I have a hard time detecting study like total. Like every day we have an action principle. We all probably made decisions up there.
He says, what do you mean by total action? Right? He doesn't understand that word total, a whole action. Do you want me to explain it? Huh? Why? Sir, look. I am a politician. God forbid, I'm a politician. Then I am not interested in anything but politics. You follow? Left, right, center, extreme right, extreme left. And forget all the implications of existence. Right? Or I might be a businessman and I forget everything else except making money. Or I might be interested in religion and get caught up in one of the sects. Whether it's a large sect or a small sect, they're all sects. Right? Or I might say I must be alone. I must leave all this and go away by myself. Now, all those are fragmentary actions, aren't they? Right? Now, if you deny all such fragmentary action, then what is a total action? You got it?
I think for the most part, we see that they're all connected.
What's that?
For the most part, I think most young people see that each field is connected. You know, art, politics, education, business. But I think it's usually on the level of idea. There has to be a new idea born, which is, of course, not, I don't think it's
So are you saying, sir, we see this? Most young people are aware of this, at least intelligent youth. They're aware of this. So they're waiting for a new idea to be born? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Yeah.
We need to learn intellectually, not actually.
Oh, you want an intellectual concept. Is that it?
Yeah, that we're not actually but it's
I-
like some of us see that like this isn't true, that's not true, and we see that they're fragments, right? And then you realize that you don't want that. I mean that none of those fragments are whole.
Now, so you see the fragmentation of the world and fragmentary activity, right? And you are saying, what is a total action, isn't it? You are inquiring, what is an action which will include all this, an action which will be whole in each action, right? Is that what you're asking?
Sir, many of us are involved in trying to create a self-image, or we are being molded into images that possibly our parents created for us, or we create self-images of others
You mean, sir, that we just follow or live, accept the images that our past generations have given to us?
And we create synthetic self-images of ourselves.
We create synthetic images of ourselves. All images are synthetic, anyhow. Now, is that is that the problem? Yes, sir?
We don't know how to act totally now. What do we do in the meantime?
We'll find out. We'll find out now this morning, talking over together, what it means to act totally. But we must first see how we act now. Otherwise, we say asking what is total action has no meaning. We must see how we are acting now. And we are acting fragmentarily, right? That is a fact. So I want to find out why this fragmentary action exists. I'm sorry, I have to go into this. It's not an intellectual investigation, but an actual inquiry. Investigation means to trace it right through, not just stop in the middle of it. You understand? You must have sustained interest to go into it and trace it right to the end. As a youth, I'm not a young man, I'm 77. So, I'm saying if I'm a youth, I would be concerned seeing this fragmentary action. I'd say, how am I to act which will be so intelligent and it will respond to every challenge, political, religious, business, an intelligence that will be whole. Of course, intelligence means a wholeness, a sanity, a healthy thing. How is the mind, which is so fragmented, to acquire this intelligence that will act intelligently, politically, religiously, economically, psychologically, and so on? Right, sir? Do you see that? Fragmentary action, however vital, however enthusiastic, however popular, is unintelligent. Right? Do you see that?
I'm fragmented, so I see it fragmentarily. I can't see even that totally. I can only see it as fragment.
But first, see the fact. The fact acting fragmentarily, you follow, is an unintelligent action. That's all let's begin with that. Look, I act politically, right? Forget about psychology, forget about religion. You follow? I have got blinkers, and I only think in terms of politics. Politics means government. Government means my party, or the tyrannical party. You follow? I join that. I'm only concerned with that and not with the rest. Now, such action is unintelligent action. Right?
But my mind is fragmented.
Wait. We'll come to that. You see the statement.
I see it as a part.
Wait, you see it intellectually, right? Which is a fragmentary, right? But you see it. You understand it? Now, you or young people live and act fragmentarily, right? And do you see it as an not intelligent action, related to yourself? You follow? And do you see it as being stupid action? Or is it still a concept, an idea? Which is it? Is it still an idea, or is it an actuality which you yourself see in your life? Look, sir, I mean, this opens up a tremendous lot. I don't know if you want to go into all this. Are you thinking in terms of formulas, concepts, ideation, or which are fragmentary, aren't they? I have an idea that I must act wholly. That's just an idea. Somebody has told you, and you think that's a very good idea, but it is not an actual fact to you, but it's only an idea. A fact becomes real when you have pain, doesn't it? Right? In that there is no formulation, a concept. You have actual pain. Wait, I took that only as an example. So when you are hungry, really hungry, that's not a formula, a concept. It's an actuality. It's not an abstraction. It is a fact that you are hungry. Now, is it a fact to you that fragmentary action is unintelligent action? Or is it just an idea? Right, sir? Which is it? Is it just an idea? Or is it, say, by Jove, that is so, I see it. I see it with my intellectually, I feel it emotionally, and it is so. That means for you it is a fact, not an idea. I don't know, I can't explain more than that.
I see it, but I continue to act.
Wait, first see it. Right? Now, you say, I see it as an intellectual idea, but I don't relate it to in my daily life. So you have a gap between the idea and the action. Right. That's what all people are doing, which is fragmentary action. Therefore, it's stupid action. So I'm asking, is youth, that's you, devoted a whole morning for this, do you see for yourself when there is this challenge, the house is burning. The house, politically, religiously, socially, it's burning. And do you respond to it, that challenge, partially or wholly? Wholly being intellectually, emotionally, with your body, with your nerve, completely. Or do you say, well, I have a religious idea, I believe in Jesus, therefore I will act according to my belief. Right? Therefore, such action would be fragmentary, wouldn't it? I wonder if you are. Right? Or I believe in communism, Marxism, and I, being committed to that idea, I will act when this challenge comes, which is also fragmentary, isn't it? Right? And I'll act wholly, thinking I'm acting wholly, when I go and join a commune. There I can live with half a dozen people, with fairly cooperating, being friendly, being affectionate to each other and all the rest of it, and I won't accept any authority, because if I accept authority, I go back to the old establishment, and gradually, if I don't accept authority there, gradually disorder comes in, and that breaks it up, right? All such activity is fragmentary, right? And therefore that is stupid.
Perhaps not on a financial level, Most of the time is being spent making money, making a living, having a place to stay.
Yes, sir.
People move together,
We are coming to...
more economically, and it's intelligent in a practical way.
It is. I want to find out, sir, how to live so that when I earn money, that means when I must have food, clothes and shelter, right? And in the demand of it, in the necessity of it, that doesn't become a fragmentary action. You follow that? And also, I see there must be a social revolution. A new kind of order must come into the world. Right? And I must find out how to bring about that order. Is it a total order that will be order everywhere, or only in a particular direction? So the challenge is that you respond totally, wholly, but not fragmentarily. You got it now? Have you understood what? Huh? Now, how do you get this total action? How do you come by it?
By seeing the fragmentary.
By seeing the fragmentation, you come upon the action which is whole. And do you see it, or do you see it as an idea?
I see it as an idea.
Which you see it as an idea.
And I'm seeing it, I'm watching it.
You are watching it as an idea. Right? Then how will you feel it? How will you incorporate that idea with your feeling, with your vigor, with your, with your whole being. How do you relate your whole being to that idea?
Isn't one thing to relate to that idea with your whole being? Isn't that rather like having a technique that you want to practice in order to
Quite right, sir. I'm just asking for you to investigate it. Are you interested in all this, young people? Huh? Or are you thinking of having a nice walk in this lovely morning?
Difficulty being interested, because somehow all this is about social ideas, and I feel a difference between when we talk about personal fragmentation. Then I can feel inside of me what we're discussing. But this idea of the social actually seems
So first of all, do you see what's happening in the world? Right? How do you respond to it? Not as an idea, not as a concept. How do you say, by Jove, the house is burning, what am I to do? Not as an individual, as a Christian, as a Buddhist, and all that stuff. As a human being, you see this thing burning, and what is your response? Do you respond to it as an artist? Or as a whatever it is? Or you say, all that is silly, I must respond with my whole being. No. Madam, just please, just listen. Look, we human beings are conditioned, aren't we? Right? Whether the young or the old or the, right? They are conditioned. Please listen to this. They are conditioned according to the culture they live in, right? They can react to that culture and form their own conditioning, but it's still conditioning, isn't it? Now, from that conditioning, there comes character, right? Comes temperament, which is character. And according to that temperament, you act. And you call that individual action. Are you following this? Oh, please do follow this. I know the child is crying, fun, let it cry. But do please pay attention to this. You understand what I said? I am conditioned as a Hindu, brought up in a certain class, very orthodox, very religious, superstitious and all the rest of it. That's my conditioning. And when I meet this challenge, I act according to that conditioning, which is my character, my temperament, my idiosyncrasy, and I say, I am acting as an individual. And you are acting also on the same principle. Therefore you say, now, how are two individuals, you conditioned and I conditioned with my temperament, my characteristics, and you with your idiosyncrasy, how are these two people to cooperate? You follow the problem? Where I say that is not possible, cooperation or working together or living together, having good relationship with each other is not possible as long as my conditioning, your conditioning exists. And which makes me act fragmentarily. You get it? It makes me act according to my temperament. And I think it's marvelous.
So what people say is, the communists say all the different groups say we should all have the same condition. Same idea.
Which is another conditioning.
That's a condition, but it's the same, so we can cooperate.
And they don't cooperate. They soon break up. They're breaking up also. They're criticizing the government. They're having trouble being put in mental hospitals because they criticize the government. So you must first see the importance that of being conditioned. We act thinking that we are free according to our temperaments, characters, idiosyncrasies.
You speak one language and I speak another. You have certain kinds of behavior characteristics and I have other kinds. But that isn't what prevents us from...
Wait, sir. But first see that predominates our behavior, our relationship. I'm answering that question of that lady there. So, what we are saying is, do you respond to this enormous challenge as a conditioned human being with its peculiarities? And those peculiarities have become so important because she's the mine. I am an individual. I have identified myself with it. Do you respond to the challenge according to your cultural conditioning, or do you respond without that conditioning? You've got the question. I'm putting the same thing in different words. I know that we want to conceive it first and then act according to it. That's what I am objecting to. We want the picture of it, the description of it, the verbal explanation of it, but the picture, the description, the word is not the thing. Right? So, I am saying, how do you respond? If you don't respond totally, you are creating great mischief in the world, though you are young. Growing a beard, long hair is not a response. Taking drugs is not a response, total response. Or running off to form a little community. That's not a total response. Or joining, God knows what, all that. I said that's not total response. That is a response according to your tendency, based on your conditioning, and therefore it has no value at all. I'm coming that, sir. Let's take that up.
In order to survive,
let's take that, all right.
So, what can you do?
I'm coming to that, sir.
You have to go in the old people's patterns and paths.
All right, what shall I do?
So you do
Wait a minute, sir.
You move out in the country, you get together a couple of people, and you have time to find out things.
Oh, yes. The gentleman says, just a minute, sir.
From before.
Right, sir. He's off. I know this chap.
And then you might have time to do something about social responses.
Right, sir.
But living in a small little circle, it's very difficult.
Right. Now this is what he is saying. I live in a city, or one lives in a city, and there you have to earn a livelihood, follow the old method, live in the old pattern of going to the office from 8 to 5 for the rest of your life. And you have no time to think. So you abandon that and form a little community where you have time to think. Try to find out in that little community how to live totally, right? Wait, sir. This is the problem. You see, not at all. The questioner says you only look at it from a fragmentary point of view, which is a psychological point of view. You say, of course.
So there is a certain danger if you put the problem. There is a certain danger.
I don't put the problem. I have not put the problem.
When you say my point of view, that if we have just to survive in this society without working,
We are going to find out, sir, but you...
there is a challenge as big as the one you told.
I said at the beginning, earning a livelihood is a problem, which is not psychological. I said at the beginning, you have to live in this world. You can't run away from it. That's not psychological. You accuse me of fragmentary psychological activity while you yourself are fragmentary. Wait, I don't say anything. All a big one.
Well, could we go into, so I can relate this question of whether it's possible to act completely in my daily life. When we go into the question of if it's indeed possible to go into a school that is an establishment type of public school which is just a gigantic machine where kids are being programmed, whether it's possible to go into such a school and somehow actually do something.
The question is, I'm a teacher in a school that is mechanical, that is overweighted, all the rest of it. And how am I to act there totally without being crushed by this vast structure? Wait, madam, where I have to teach 50 boys in a class or 60, and their boys being rowdy and all the rest of it, how am I to deal with that? How am I to act totally in that given circumstances? Right, sir? Now, this is not psychological, is it? Wait, what am I to do? I must answer this question, sir, please. I earn my livelihood at teaching in a school, in a system that is overburdened, that is mechanical, that in every class of 50 to 60 students, they have no order, each rushing all the rest of it. How am I, given this condition, to teach wholly? Wait, can you do it there? Wait, sir, find out. Can you do it there? Where? You know all the system, how it works, but then I do. Can you do it there?
Well, let's say I have not so far succeeded. In fact, I've been fired.
Quite right, sir. You can't do it. It can't be done. Look, teaching 50 boys in a class where you want to teach them what? mathematics? Wait, mathematics. And you're not merely concerned teaching mathematics, you're concerned with their mind, making them, bringing about their intelligence, making them behave, the whole of it. With 50 boys, you can't do it. Therefore, you're fired. Wait. Therefore, what will you do? Wait and find out. What will you do? Just go on to another profession? Or, we say, by Jove, teaching is the most important thing, right? Because that it deals with young people, creating a new generation, all the rest of it. Tremendously important. I find out with the others, with few who feel this thing and start a school. Which means tremendous energy. You understand, sir? Which means that you are giving your whole life for this, not just casual action. Now, wait a minute. We'll answer that gentleman who says, I live in a city. And I have to earn their livelihood. I have no time. Therefore, I withdraw and form a little commune. Go right, go away. So,
You're changing the words and you're putting it into a little commune.
no, commune, a few people living together.
But why
I don't condemn it, sir.
no, why did you introduce the word little?
Call it big.
No.
Call it small, big, it doesn't matter. I go into a commune where I have time.
That is a fragmentary kind of thing.
No, I don't, sir. Wait. Please, sir, would you mind let me finish what I'm saying? I have no time to think in the present business livelihood affair. I go away with a few friends, if I can, and live together, cultivating our own garden, or living in town, come back to that, earn a livelihood, live together, and have time to think how to bring about this total action, right? That's what you said. Is it my intention, when I go and live with a few people, is it my true, real intention to find out a way of life in which there is total action? I don't say I have no intention. Is it my real intention? I abandon, or call it what, I go away from the present structure of society and try to live a life in which I comprehend this total movement of existence. The monks have tried to do it. Various communes have tried to do this. They either accept an authority of a person or the authority of a belief or the authority of the necessity of working together. Or does one go discarding all authority, belief, person, or the necessity that we must live together, in order to give me time to think? Do we discard that and therefore find out for yourself what is the way of existence, living, that will not be fragmentary, that will act both economically, psychologically, and more in a whole manner. So it depends on you what your serious intention is. Whether you are psychologically as well as outwardly, inwardly as well as outwardly, you want to live differently. Come on, sir. You're one of the young people.
Sir, are you saying that making a commune, or going to business, or doing any of these things that come from thought, there's no action at all, and then realizing this is action?
Yes, sir. You do it. You do it on a practical level. But that practical level depends on your intention, on the depth of your honesty. Maybe. You have to live, find out.
Doesn't all intentional behavior have some idea behind it?
That just it, sir. You follow? What? How do you respond to all this, sir? You're young. You see all how we have spent this morning. Someone saying, oh, you're only concerned with psychological. Somebody else saying, how to this, that, and the other. When you see all this, how do you respond? Run off to a church, join a political activity, become a communist, Mao, this or that, or lead a completely irresponsible life? Because your father, your some friends will give you money, therefore you don't care. That's what I've been saying during all these talks, madam. So, look at it. You see or act what you think is a total action when this challenge is given to you. And I don't see it. I act fragmentarily. What is your relationship? I want to act fragmentarily. You want to act as a total human being, including physical survival, psychological understanding and all the business of it, and also want to find out something beyond all this. And I say, look, please, I'm only interested in political or narrow little or big little action. What is your relation? How can you cooperate with me? I'm young, I'm just like you, long hair, short hair, whatever it is, sex-ridden or not ridden by sex, I'm like you. So I say to you, where do we meet? At what level? At the verbal level, intellectual level, psychological level, or in the level of earning a livelihood? Go on.
allowed to play the game.
So you have to live on the practical level, but so in the meantime, you live on the practical level. You sleep in the barn tonight, or you sleep in the hotel, or you try to take the breakfast tomorrow, you do whatever you have to do. But if you say, I'm sleeping in a barn, that's a great new revolution. You know, it's not. You know, people slept in barns for a long time. I go out to a commune, so I have more time. Okay, so you go out to a commune, big deal. You know, don't make me into an idea of communes are going to take over the world.
It's a money, you know. If you don't have a lot of money, then
Okay,
you
so
just
you
not
do what you have to do.
Sir, I know a young boy, 21. I saw him in India. He made his way across the continent, hitchhiking from California to New York, took a boat from there as a sailor, came to India, worked in India, across India, and I met him on the seashore. To him, what was important was to find out what truth was. You may say, oh, how silly that is. He wanted to find out. Therefore, he gave his life to it. You understand? He didn't talk about practical life, and he didn't say this. He worked. Waiter. Oh, very good. Wait, sir.
last night I went to a sauna.
Please, sir, would you mind?
It's very nice. If you go in any of the big cities without
We are good, sir.
there is nothing.
Gosh, this is- If you have money, or if your parents have money, or friends give you money, then you have no problem. Or you have the problem of depending on some of your parents. Then you can play around with all these ideas. At most, some of them do. So, we are coming to the point, again, are you aware as young people, and also the old people, there's much difference in this, that any kind of fragmentary action is really the most unintelligent, mischievous action. That's what the old establishment has done, right? That's their way of life. Keep the business world in one way, religion for Sunday, and politics on Thursday, all the rest of it. And you're doing exactly the same thing, only call it by a different name. And I say you, as a youth, which is supposed to be vigorous, enthusiastic, though in spite of the weakness, in spite of unclarity and all the rest of it, you're supposed to have tremendous vitality to act. Act knowing what the older generation have done, and you are as confused as the others. Therefore, there is no generation gap at all. So, do you see, that makes me realize how hypocritical one is. You deny the old establishment, and you are doing exactly the same thing as they do, only in other words. So, as we are young, I don't belong to you. As you are young, you have to create a new world. You are responsible for a new world. And if you say, well, I'm only concerned with money, or with only psychological thing, or only with... It has no meaning.
Or if you're concerned with total action.
What, sir?
Or if you're concerned with total action.
Yes.
No, if you are concerned with total action, you don't act totally. I mean,
I understand, sir, I understand. So, one realizes, you realize, we act fragmentarily, right? Let's stick to that thing. Do you realize it as an idea or as a fact? If it is a fact, then you're already acting non-fragmentarily.
that's why I say, though, that yet, for a long time, I've been concerned with acting totally. But that has prevented me from acting totally. Because I wanted to see it.
Yes, quite. You are saying, as long as it is an idea, there is no total action. Why do you see it as a concept, as a formula, as an idea? Why do you see that? Why does that thing happen first? You follow? You understand my question, sir? Why do you see everything as an idea first? Is it because intellectually we are overdeveloped? Is it because we are afraid what total action might involve, therefore, an ideation, a formula over there, which I'm going to live presently? Therefore, I continue the way I am. So I'm asking, why do we always see the thing in words first? Words being idea, thought, formula, and then which becomes a remembrance. Why do we do that? Why don't we see it right away, non-verbally?
Because we're sitting here listening to you talk about it. I mean, if we never heard of you in our lives and had just come upon it all by ourselves, it would be one thing. But we're listening to your verbal
Sir,
explanation.
look, you say if I hadn't listened to you and I came upon this myself, it would be much better. A friend also said this yesterday. He said, I must find this out by myself. I wish I could do it.
Most of us, the way we've been educated, our education has been so awful, so terrible, that we never had any idea that anything else was possible, that same kind of fragmentary existence of monotony. So then, you come along and you say, something else is possible. And so then we sit here and listen to you talk about it, but we have only the words. Very often.
Or even if you stop, like, for me, like, ever since I've been really little, like, inside of me has been saying something else is possible. And all the pressure has been on me of finding out, piece by piece, things are coming up. I don't know why I don't understand it. And I'm realizing that I can't act fragmentally anymore. But, and there's that understanding in me, but still, and there isn't any action.
So why should you listen to another? Here you are listening to me. Why are you listening to me? Why don't you find it all out for yourself? Come on, sir, answer it. No, madam, no, I'm not saying that. Look, he says, why have I got to listen to you? Why can't I find it out by myself? Wait, answer the question, madam.
Sir, for the same reason that you can't follow it. It's the same reason. If I could find out for myself, I could also understand.
Why can't I find out all this by myself?
The very idea that there is something to find out at all.
All right, why can't, I don't know how to put it, sir. Let's put it this way. For the first time, perhaps, you hear non-fragmentary action. Wait. Why didn't you think of it yourself and live it, work at it, and live non-fragmentarily? Why didn't you do it? Why do you have to listen to somebody? And what's wrong with listening to somebody?
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it.
No, I'm putting it, I'm going the other way, putting it the other way.
Sir, I'm happy to listen to you, and you're not a conclusion of mine.
What, sir?
You're not a conclusion of mine. I'm happy to listen to you.
But the others are not. They say, I wish I could come upon this by myself.
We all wish that.
Which means I listen to it, which means I want to find out everything by myself, right? Can you? Not, of course, the only way, but if you put it that way, it's wrong, isn't it? No, I haven't conveyed it properly then. When I say to myself, I have to find out the whole thing by myself and not listen to anybody, right, sir? That very statement is a false statement. That's all I'm saying. Because then you become tremendously important. You don't simply, I will find out. If somebody will tell me, not tell me, I'll move, I'll walk, you follow? And in the process of that, I'll discover or not discover. But to say, well, I will only move till I find out by myself, then you're dead. Yes, sir, yes, sir.
So if I see it as a fragment,
That's what I said, sir. How do you see this thing?
I think for the same year, when we say we're listening to music, we think we're listening to someone else, but we're listening to ourselves. When someone else asks a question, it's me asking the question. So the division between finding it out for myself, rather than listening to someone else, is more interesting.
I understand, madam. What are we to do? Look, sir, I want to convey something to you. I want to convey, not that you must accept it. As a friend, I want to tell you something. First of all, verbally, then non-verbally. I say to you, which is, I want to convey to you, that acting without a formula is complete action. I say, this is in my heart. I would say, as a friend, I said, look, if you do this, you will live a totally different kind of life. Whether you have to earn a livelihood, whether you have to paint, or whether you will lead totally different kind of life. To you, you receive it as an idea. I said, don't receive it as an idea, but move with me. Don't turn what I'm saying into words, into a formula which you are going to accept and follow presently. But move together, see the thing together, which is, don't live in formulas. I want to tell you this. Not because I want you to join my group or his. No, I just want to convey this to you. But you don't receive it, you see. You immediately turned into an idea. And ready to fight over that idea. Psychological, business, non-business, all the rest of it. So how am I? See my difficulties are. You are there and I'm sitting here. I want to convey this to you non-verbally, through words. You understand what I mean? I want to convey to you that there is an action which is immediate perception and therefore non-formula. And I tell this to you seriously with all my affection. I feel it strongly. I'll do anything to convey it to you. But you receive it as an idea. And I said, don't do it. It is this idea that is separating. It is this idea that is fragmentary. So can you listen to me, who wants to tell you that there is an action which is totally complete only when there is no ideation or a formula or a prejudice. Then you say, I am prejudiced. Everything turns into words for me. What am I to do? I said, don't do anything about it, but just listen. You see, sir, I have no formulas. I don't have a concept and then act. But only I see, act. I don't say, by Joe, if I act that way, I lose my popularity. I will have nobody. Or I won't have money. You follow all the mentation that goes on, which prevents direct action. So you, being young, can you listen with a mind that is young? Or is your mind already the old mind, which always thinks in formulas, in categories, in division, in fragmentation? Young mind means, it sees, acts. And that acting is rational always. Whether you've got to live in a commune, whether you have to live in a town, whether you follow, it is altogether total. It's the time. Is the youth meeting over?
Can we have more day for the youth?
So every day is a youth meeting. This is what we have been saying for the last 3 weeks. How to communicate without the word and therefore the idea.